Hey everyone, welcome back to Big Strong Book. I'm Reed, and today we are going to be going over Chapter 4 of Stone of Farewell, A Bowl of Calamint Tea. So we begin this chapter with Guthwolf's perspective as they return to the Hayholt. Elias, Guthwolf, and all the men that were with them have been coming back from Naglamund. And Guthwolf is starting to feel uneasy about everything that is happening. And as he's thinking to himself, he says, or the internal monologue, "It was true that during the siege a fortnight ago, his heart had beaten very swiftly, but that had been the racing pulse of exhilaration, not of fear. He had laughed as his enemies had swept down upon him. He had broken a man's back with a single blow of his longsword, and taken blows in turn without losing his seat. He also knew that he was not the only soul who felt a gnawing disquietude. Though crowds stood by cheering, most of them were young bravos and drunkards from the town. A goodly number of the windows facing Erchester's main row were shuttered. More than a few others showed only a stripe of darkness, out of which peered those citizens who did not care to come down and cheer the king." And what's very interesting, Guthwolf feels, was the king mad? Had he brought evil down on them? God did not fear a fight, the earl knew, or a little blood. In such ink were his intentions written, a philosopher had said. But Osiris curse it, this was different, was it not? Guthwolf had considered killing priorites, but had decided it might only make things worse, like killing the hound keeper when the dogs waited at one's throat. And as Elias goes into the throne room and he seats himself on the dragonbone chair, he says, "Your monarch returns from war, bringing news of a great victory, and all that greets him is a paltry rabble. Why was there no welcome for me?" And then the chancellor says, "But there was, my lord, there was. Did I not meet you at the Near-Law gate with all your household who remained at the Hayholt? We are thrilled to have your majesty back in good health, awed by your triumph in the north." But Elias is becoming aware that there are rumors that are floating around. Rumors of that they have acquired, as Elias says, mighty friends. And Father Helfsine, he just kind of brushes it off as everybody with those rumors, they are all ignorant peasants. And Elias kind of, as people go away, and he bids Guthwolf come closer, and he says, "You must protect me from treachery, Guthwolf. I am vulnerable now, but there are great things coming. This land will see a golden age, such as the philosophers and priests have only dreamed of. But I must survive, or all will be ruined, all will be ashes. You must help me, Guthwolf. Fangbald and Godwig and the rest are fools. Helfsine is a frightened rabbit. You are the only one in the world I can trust, besides priorites here, that is. You are the only ones whose loyalty to me is complete." And this section of Guthwolf's perspective just ends with, "Guthwolf felt a heavy stone of fear settle in his gut. Slowly, he began to consider the unthinkable." And then we go into resolving the cliffhanger from Miriamel's perspective at the end of chapter 2, when she and Cadrak had been brought before Count Strawway. And Count Strawway essentially says that he is holding them there. He says, "I'm this friend who he will send Miriamel and Cadrak to is an influential man. Even those around him do not guess the breadth of his influence. His network of information, although smaller than mine, is of the depth and scope that often makes me shake my head in amazement. What I've been saying, though, is this, says Strawway. When my friend sent word to me, we each have a little flock of trained birds who carry our letters back and forth. He told me about you. This was a thing I already knew. He, however, did not know of my plans for you, those plans I spoke of earlier. And he does not want you to go to Nabon. It is not the right time. And Count Strawway says, I must hold you here until my friend sends to say otherwise. A debt is a debt, and a favor must be repaid. And Miriam thinks that she has to reach Duke Leobardus, give him the news to convince him to join Joshua. But she eventually, as the days and eventually a week goes by, she realizes that Duke Leobardus has died. He did reach Naglemund, but he was killed by Benegaris, of course. And then it just says 3 days later, as the evening of the first day of Tiagar month came on, Strawway poured her a bowl of tea with his own trembling hand and told her that Naglemund had fallen. Rumor said there had been a great slaughter, that few had survived. He held her awkwardly in his dry stick arms as she sobbed. For all Miriam knows at this point, her uncle is dead. Everybody that she knows and cares about who's near Naglemund has died, that Elias has been victorious. Her channel of information is limited at this point because she's essentially, at that point in this chapter at least, she's essentially a hostage of Strawway. So then we go to the exodus from Naglemund, Daernoth, Warsheva, Joshua, that whole group. And Daernoth starts, as they're kind of around the campfire, and they're trying to process everything that they've been through within the past few days. He eventually realizes, and Skaldir tells him, what is to fear? If they catch us, they will kill us. There are worse things than to die. And Daernoth says, but that's just it. That's the point. Why the Norns? Why haven't they killed us? And as they think about this, he says, why have they not killed us? They have had many opportunities to do so. And then Daernoth, he kind of grasps Joshua's arm and he says, my lord, do you believe that the Norns, the Storm King's minions who destroyed Naglemund, could not catch a dozen hungry and wounded men and women? And he says, I don't know what that signifies, but I can't believe they couldn't have brought us to bay if they wanted to. Perhaps there is something more important than our deaths. If they want us dead, why not surround us? If a walking corpse could be upon us almost before we knew, why not the Norns? And Strangyard says, I hate to even say this, but perhaps they are toying with us as a cat does with a rat it has cornered. And Isorn is thinking back to the Black Rimmersmen, to the Norns, and he says, no, the Norns didn't have anything to do with kind of the capturing and the torturing. They were just black shadows. They seem to take little notice of anything. And Joshua says, so it does not seem that the Norns are interested in torture. And when Strangyard talks, he says, I wonder if they want to capture us. But then they think that means they're just after Prince Joshua. They want to capture him. And Daernoth thinks, when have we been attacked by them? They're like, early in the morning after that night that the young pikemen came to our fire. And was anyone hurt? No. But the Norns are very good archers, Daernoth continued. And when has anyone else been shot? Yesterday, Isorn said, you should know. Gamold dead, Sangfugel badly wounded. Gamold fell, the prince said. All of our party who have been killed except for Gamold died from our battles with the diggers. Daernoth has it a right. The Norns have been chasing us for 3 days, 3 full days, and have fired upon us many times. Sangfugel is the only one who has been hit. And Joshua says, maybe we are being herded like ignorant animals. They're trying to keep us, Daranoth says, from going east, herded towards capture or slaughter. And that night, as Strangyard and Daranoth are kind of trading watches for the night, the watch of the campfire. Strangyard, I mean, again, one of these little character moments that I love. Strangyard says, "But to spend my last years in darkness, unable to see the writings that are my work on this earth. I'm sorry, Daranoth. I am babbling of trivialities. It is the hour, this hour of the night. At home in Calamint, I often wake at this time just before the sun comes up. When we are safe, Strangyard," Daranoth began suddenly, "if you cannot read, I will come to read to you. My eyes are not as quick as yours, nor my mind, but I am stubborn as an unfed horse. I will grow better with practice. I will read to you." The archivist sighed, then was quiet. "That is too kind," he said a moment later, "but you will have more important things to do when we are safe again and Joshua sits the high throne of Osten, matters far graver than reading to an old book shifter." And then eventually on, as Daranoth wakes up to try and take the watch from Strangyard, he realizes that Strangyard has slumped forward and has a knife in his neck. And Daranoth realizes the Norns are here, like they're being attacked, and his sword is caught in the scabbard, and he tries to grab a knife, and Scaldier joins everything. Joshua's with them, and they're all kind of fighting, and it just says, "Other two-legged shapes were beginning to appear from the forest shadows, but Daranoth could not tell if they were friends or foes. His sight seemed to be obscured. Something was in his eyes, something that stung. He moved his hands questingly over his face. It was wet and sticky. His fingers, when he held them up to catch the light, were black with blood." And Miriamel and Cadrak are led kind of out of Count Strawway's property as they are heading off to Nabin in a fishing boat with Lenti and a Lesbo. And Strawway says, "My little island must maintain a delicate balance, a very delicate balance. Sometimes the adjustments seem cruel." They were going to Nabin, Miriamel thinks, a place that now held little hopes for her. Cadrak, her only ally, had been sullenly quiet since they had been reunited. And what name had Strawway called him? Where had she heard that before? Now she herself was being sent to some unknown friend of Count Strawway's. And what does... I didn't catch... I might have to go back. I don't think it was... Or let me figure that out here. But they're essentially, the chapter ends with them being herded into the boat. So let me see here. What Strawway... I don't think I'm... catching that here. Yeah, I can't seem to find that. Anyways, so chapter 4, off to places unknown, and Joshua's party is under attack. So, chapter 4, both Calamint T. Let me know what you think, and I will see you guys next time.